Hi natives, in today's video English lesson, I'm going to teach you all of the most common irregular verbs in English. When it comes to learning the past simple and the present perfect, there are two types of verbs that you need to know. The first type are what we call regular verbs that have the ed ending. Now, these are simple enough to learn because all you need to know are which verbs are regular, and you have a clear formula how to form the past simple or finish the present perfect. I say finish the present perfect because there are two parts. You have the auxiliary verb, have or has, and the past participle, whatever that verb might be, and you just tack ed onto the end and you have the present perfect. Now, the irregular verbs are different because there are no rules for you to follow to form all the irregular verbs. That's what makes them irregular. And what usually happens is you have a textbook, and at the back of the book, you have a list of verbs, or your teacher gives you this list and says to learn them all by heart. Now, you've got all these irregular verbs. They're broken down alphabetically, but that doesn't really help you very much, does it? So when it comes to learning these irregular verbs, you'll notice that if you look through the list closely, some of the verbs are actually quite similar in their construction. And what you want to do is identify the patterns and then group those verbs by those patterns. And then you want to drill and practice those verbs group by group together. Is a much more manageable way and a much easier way to train your brain to learn all of the most common irregular verbs in English. And that's what we're going to do today. So let's head over to the video. Here we can see our infographic tree with 2 branches and 5 groups. So let's jump into the first branch. In our first group, you can see that the vowel changes in both the past simple and the past participle. That change is to O. Now we're going to drill these, and it's a good idea to add have to the past participle. This will get you in a good habit of using the present perfect properly. Not forgetting to add the auxiliary verb have is one of the most common mistakes people make when forming the present perfect. So let's drill these out. Break, broke, have broken. Choose, chose, have chosen. Forget, forgot, have forgotten. Freeze, froze, have frozen. Get, got, have gotten. Speak, spoke, have spoken. Steal, stole, have stolen. Tear, tore, have torn. Wake, woke, have woken. Wear, wore, have worn. Right, let's move on to the next group. You'll notice that this group also has a vowel change to O, but this time in the past simple only. Another thing you'll notice is that the present and past participle forms have the long I in them. Drive, ride, rise, write. All change to O, and then back to I in the past participle. So let's drill for a bit. Drive, drove, have driven. Ride, rode, have ridden. Rise, rose, have risen. Write, wrote, have written. Now let's do a past simple example. I wrote a new post on my website last week. And one for the present perfect. I've driven over 100,000 kilometers in my car. Let's move on to the next group now. These are also verbs with N as the last letter of the past participle and with EW in the past simple. So we have blow, blew, have blown, grow, grew, have grown, know, knew, have known, throw, threw, have thrown, fly, flew, have flown. You'll notice here that fly is the black sheep of this group. All the other verbs in the present form have ow in them, whereas fly is spelled differently from the present form. But they all have the same past simple and past participle patterns. Moving on to the fourth and final group of this branch of irregular verbs is really just a collection of smaller subgroups. The first subgroup has a vowel change from the long I to the short I. Bite, I, bit, I. Bite, bit, have bitten, hide, hid, have hidden. The next subgroup has a long vowel A shifting to the double O. Shake, shook, have shaken, take, took, have taken. Again, you can see that the long A is in the present and past participle forms, but the past simple is different. Shook. Our third subgroup has the short I changes to a long A. Forbid goes to forbade, forgive, forgave, give, gave. Forbid, forbade, have forbidden. Forgive, forgave, have forgiven. Give, gave, have given. In the final group, you can see that the present and the past participle are all the same, with N as the last letter of the past participle. But there's no pattern for the past simple. It's completely different. So let's drill. See, saw, have seen. Eat, ate, have eaten. Fall, fell, have fallen. Right. Now it's time to move on to our next branch. That is verbs with vowel changes. As you can see here, there are 7 groups of verbs with vowel changes. Let's start with the E's. Our first group, you can see that the long E changes to a short E. And as we can also see that these long E's are usually double E. And the last one is EA. So keep, sleep, feel, bleed, feed, meet, lead. Let's drill. Keep, kept, have kept. Sleep, slept, have slept. Feel, felt, have felt. Bleed, bled, have bled. Feed, fed, have fed. Meet, met, have met. Lead, led, have led. Our second group of verbs with vowel changes deals with verbs that have EA. And the EA is pronounced differently from present to the past and past participle forms. In the present forms, the EA is the long E sound. And in the past and the past participle forms, it's the short E sound. So deal, long E, deal, dealt, short E, L, elt, deal, dealt, have dealt, dream, dreamt, have dreamt, mean, meant, have meant, read, read, have read, hear, heard, have heard. You also notice here that read is a special irregular verb as it's spelled the same, but it's pronounced differently. Let's move on to the next group. These are verbs that have a long I that changes to owl, O-U. Bind, I, bind, bound. Find, found, grind, ground, wind, wound. You'll also notice that the spelling are almost all the same, right? You have the ND following the I in every form and ND following the owl in every form. Just the first letter is different. So bind, bound, have bound, find, found, have found, grind, ground, have ground, wind, wound, have wound. Our fourth group has a vowel change of a short I changing to the short U. So let's drill. Dig, dug, have dug. Stick, stuck, have stuck. Spin, spun, have spun. Sting, stung, have stung. Swing, swung, have swung. And our fifth group, this is one of these shortest groups in this list. The short E changes to O. L to old. Sell, sold, have sold. Tell, told, have told. All right, so let's move on to our sixth group, dealing with ought and ought endings. So the top half, these are groups with ought, O-U-G-H-T. So let's drill those. Bring, brought, have brought. Buy, bought, have bought. Fight, fought, have fought. Seek, sought, have sought. Think, thought, have thought. And then our subgroup with A-U-G-H-T, pronounced the same as with O. Catch, caught, have caught. Teach, taught, have taught. Our seventh and final group, now we have 3 columns, 2 changes. So the first column, the present verbs, all have I in them. The top half of this group, the I is pronounced as a long E. In the bottom half of the group, the I is pronounced as a short I, I. And then in the second column, the past simple, all the verbs have A, the short A sound. And then all of the past participles have U, the short U sound, So let's drill. Drink, drank, have drunk. Ring, rang, have rung. Shrink, shrank, have shrunk. Sing, sang, have sung. Sink, sank, have sunk. Spring, sprang, have sprung. And then the short I, begin, began, have begun. Swim, swam, have swum. That does it for our 2 branches with the subgroups. And now there are just 3 more groups, starting with verbs with the same present and past participle. So let's drill. Come, came, have come. Become, became, have become. Run, ran, have run. Now, come and become, these verbs are so similar because the base of become is come. So those are 2 easy ones to remember. Our next to last group are the most irregular verbs in English, but also the most important verbs to learn in English. These are the first ones you should learn because be is probably the first verb you learn from 0. Do is probably the second or third verb you learn from 0. Go, have, and make round out 5 of the most important verbs in English. Now, looking back at be, we can see there are 2 conjugations, was and were. And also with go, there's a star next to gone because sometimes we use have gone, which means that we're still wherever we've gone. But to say that we have gone and returned, we would use been. or been to. I've been to Jamaica twice. So that means I went and have returned 2 times to Jamaica. So let's drill. Be, was, were, have been. Do, did, have done, go, went, have gone, or have been. Have had, make, made, have made. And our final group is also the easiest group to learn. These verbs have all 3 the same. So let's drill through these. Bet, have bet. Burst, have burst. Cast, have cast. Cost, have cost. Cut, have cut. Fit, have fit. Hit, have hit. Hurt, have hurt. Let, have let. Put, have put. Quit, have quit. Set, have set. Shut, have shut. Split, have split. Spread, have spread. Right. So we've just run through 5 groups with 2 branches and subgroups. Isn't that a better way to learn the past simple and past participle of the irregular verbs? We took that static list and we broke it down into smaller pieces. We identified the similarities or patterns, and we organized the verbs into those groups, and we drilled them together. Now, if you feel like you need more practice, go ahead and watch this video back as many times as you need, or you can do some self-practice. As a teacher, I recommend that you take these verbs and organize them yourself and drill them together, one group at a time. Now, you don't have to organize them yourself because I've gone ahead and done it for you. And if you go and download the study guide, you can get the cutout cards that you saw from today's lesson, and you can practice and drill yourself. And how it looks is, you should first drill the whole group one at a time. So break, broke, have broken. Remember, we add the verb have on the past participle. And then the next one, choose, chose, have chosen. Forget, forgot, have forgotten. And you go all the way down the list. And when you feel like, okay, let's quiz. Now you want to quiz yourself. So you're going to fold that in half, where you have just the present form on one side and the past and past participle on the other. And then you're just going to quiz yourself. Now, initially, when you're quizzing yourself, might be a little bit shaky, right? You're trying to remember the first one. So break, broke, what was it? Have broken. Then the next one, choose, chose, have chosen. Forget, forgot, have forgotten. Freeze, froze, have frozen. What's happening is your brain goes from trying to remember to just working it out like a puzzle and formulating based on the pattern. So you're not remembering, you're working it out like a puzzle. It's predictive. And I think this is a much more powerful way to learn these verbs, and it will stick in the memory a lot better. Now, if you feel like you've learned something helpful today, then why don't you do me a huge favor and just hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new video lessons. So that's it for today, and I'll catch you next time.